Dwayne Lease.
Hello, my name is Dwayne Lease. I live at 2686 Pearl Howlett Road. I came to thank the city for the tagging abatement program. We had a tagging on the back of our building on the corner of Longs Peak and Main. And I had spent probably about probably 4 to maybe 6 hours just looking into how to get rid of the tagging and working on it. Finally got a response, and the gentleman came out and did it. But what my thinking is that there should be a very obvious and easy way for someone such as myself who can afford to pay for this service to be able to contribute to the city for the cost of what is essentially a valuable service to myself. I don't think it should be something that should be charged to every person in the community because some people can't afford it. But having the city not tagged is of value to all of us. I think it's extraordinarily important, and I want to thank you all for the work that you do, and hang in there. Keep working hard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lease. All right, let's go on to the consent agenda. Don, Ms. Quintana, City Clerk.
Mayor,
Do your thing.
item 8E, Resolution 2020-17 has been removed by staff from the consent agenda. It will be brought back due to an error in one of the attachments. So 8A is Resolution 2020-13, a resolution of the Longmont City Council approving the intergovernmental agreement between the city acting by and through its water utility enterprise and the Northern Colorado Water Conservancy District for location of a camera to monitor the St. Vrain Creek. 8B is Resolution 2020-14, a resolution of the Longmont City Council approving an intergovernmental agreement between Boulder County and the City of Longmont for the Environmental Sustainability Matching Grant Program. 8C is Resolution 2020-15, a resolution of the Longmont City Council approving an intergovernmental agreement between Boulder County, City of Boulder, City of Longmont, City and County of Broomfield, Town of Erie, City of Lafayette, City of Louisville, Town of Superior, Town of Nederland, Town of Lyons, regarding the Boulder Area Trails Mobile Application Project. And 8D is Resolution 2020-16, a resolution of the Longmont City Council approving the intergovernmental agreement between the city and State of Colorado Department of Labor and Employment, Division of Oil and Public Safety for compliance with the Elevator and Escalator Certification Act.
All right, Dr. Waters.
I move the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, it's been moved. The consent agenda has been moved by Councilman Waters and seconded by Councilmember Peck. Any debate, dialogue, questions? All right, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, that's enough. Yes, we're done. No, so that passes unanimously. All right, let's move on to ordinances on second reading and public hearings on any matter. First is 9A, Ordinance 2020-08, a bill for an ordinance authorizing the City of Longmont to execute a lease extension of real property known as 1140 Boston Avenue to Longmont Win Air Company. Are there any questions from council? Does staff have a report, anything like that? All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and open this for a public hearing on ordinance 2020-08. Would anyone in the public like to speak on this matter? All right, seeing no one, let's go ahead and close the public hearing. Can I have a motion? All right, Councilmember Peck.
I move 2020-08.
I'll second that. It's been moved by Councilmember Peck, seconded by myself. Let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, passes unanimously. All right, no items have been removed from the consent agenda, so let's go ahead and move on to general business. 11A, DSC and Creation Station space needs.
Mayor Bagley, members of council, Joni Marsh, Assistant City Manager. So the item before you this evening is a request for council to give direction regarding the Creation Station, which is the little building attached to the Development Services Center. Used to be the print shop for the city. Community Services has been using that at the direction of council. Council actually voted and made a motion 4 years ago. At this time, we're really out of space at the Development Services Center and are looking for places to put staff. which don't exist. So we have spoken with Nancy at the library, Karen Roney, as well as Jeff Friesner at REC, and taken a look at what that programming looked like, and that whether or not they would be able to relinquish that space, and they have determined that would be reasonable for them to do so. So we're just asking tonight for council to give some formal direction if we could move forward with moving into the Creation Station with Development Services Center employees.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by myself and seconded by Councilmember Peck.
Just a real quick question.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez, for the record. Go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Bagley. Just a real quick question. Prior to the Creation Station being a print shop, was it at one point a morgue for the city?
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez, you are correct.
Okay, I just wanted to put that because I'm a little bit
We
of a
don't
history
like to
nerd,
emphasize the creepy nature of that.
but I like to. Anyway, yes, I'll be in support.
Thank you.
I would move an amendment to make that the new council offices. I'm just kidding. Dr. Waters?
Was it also used as a makerspace in conjunction with the library?
I think at one point there was some use going on in that space prior to really the conversion to legitimate programming that went from the library and the recreation center, yes.
So
for a short
from one
time.
extreme, from a morgue to a makerspace.
Yeah.
It's pretty versatile space. So the one point I would want to make, I understand it has not been utilized well as a makerspace. But I do want to make the point that the library is we are overpopulated for the capacity in the library, in my opinion, as our liaison to the library board. It is the reason we're going through a feasibility study. And just a reminder that as we receive the results of that feasibility study, we've got, for people who care about makerspace, we've got a series of meetings scheduled now through the rest of this month and into March. That feasibility study, I assume we're going to get by the end of April, maybe. And I think that's a pretty close time frame. And I'm assuming that we'll see in that feasibility study some recommendations or possibilities for kind of state-of-the-art makerspace in conjunction with what a 21st century library should look like. So I just want to make the point, as I drive by that, or you walk out of Ziggy's having met with somebody for some issue, and I look across and I see that space and think about what we could be doing with the kind of with state-of-the-art makerspace for our creative class in Longmont. And I support you need the space. I'm going to vote for this. But I want to make the point that we need space for those members of our community who have talents to bring and ideas around which they want to create. And I want to keep that high on our list of, or at least high visibility and high on the list of priorities as we go forward with the feasibility study.
Councilmember Christensen.
I understand we're all kind of, all the city offices really need more space. I do think this is a good use of the Lashley Street station because it'll help. It's right up the street from, it's very close to the elementary school, and it's also right up the street from the youth center. So there might be some more synergy to be gotten between those two places as well. So I do think it's a really good reuse of this, and but I also appreciate what Councilman Waters is saying. The library really also needs space, so we're just going to have to figure out how to use our money wisely. But I think this is great because it is right across the street from the development services. So.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to allow staff to go ahead to change the use and occupy the ex-morgue of the city. So let's go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, that motion carries and passes unanimously. Let's move on to 11B, Pepler Neighborhood Concept Plan Amendment. It's continued over from 1/14/20. I believe staff has an update on the discussions pertaining to that little handwritten questionable phrase. So give us an update.
Correct, and I'm going to ask Don to make his way up closer to me so he can help me fill in the blanks. So obviously there was a plat note that existed regarding the development of this property. There was some concept plans. I think it was ambiguous in terms of what was actually contemplated in there in terms of the plat note, and there was a number of questions. We had, per council's direction, we had entered into conversations with the developer of that site, trying to find a solution based on some of the ideas that the council threw out during the previous conversation, and some ideas that I worked out with Dawn, and we had real time in there, and you know, we were moving through that very slowly. The conversations were difficult in terms of what we were trying to accomplish. To be completely candid, on Friday of last week, we received a letter from legal counsel representing the individual, and we were actually prepared to come in tonight to postpone this item to a date certain of March 31st, so we could have the time to do a fair amount of legal research to really evaluate our position. Prior to this meeting, we had a meeting with the applicants, and what we were trying to really work on was trying to fit in 4 deed-restricted single-bedroom affordable housing units, and that was something we talked about. And then the question comes in, well, what is a civic purpose? I think what I was trying to really work off of is that the council has set a goal of affordable housing being important to us, and the civic purpose was of providing affordable housing. And evaluating that concept, we were getting into a number of setback issues. There were issues related to how the parking was going to be structured, and it just started becoming more problematic. Literally a few minutes before this council meeting, we agreed to, with the developer, to essentially take the square footage that would have been associated with those 1-bedroom single-family units, at a rate of $3.75 a square foot, which is consistent with other things that I'm working on related to the Affordable Housing Fund. They would then just pay us an equivalent amount for those units, which amounts to $21,000 that would then be placed in the Affordable Housing Fund to be used for the purposes established, which is to provide affordable housing to our community. And so from my perspective, and working with Teresa in this conversation, we feel that the civic purpose that we're satisfying is that we're actually putting additional funding into the Affordable Housing Fund in order to help us provide affordable housing to our community. Granted, it's got to be accumulated with other funds. But that's where we are today. Council can consider that option based on where we are in the conversations. My opinion is based on the amount of legal research and the ambiguity in the plat note and what we have to work through, we think that is an equitable way to resolve this issue. Be happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Peck.
Thank you, Mayor Bagley. Harold, these affordable units, are they going to be always affordable? Or are they going to be, when they're sold, be sold at market value?
So because of the issues in terms of placement with the setback, there's not going to be affordable units. They're going to pay us $3.75 a square foot to account for that piece.
Okay, I misunderstood. Thank you.
Councilmember Christensen.
I realize that this will not please everybody. And who lives in that community, who were expecting some civic element in that community. Unfortunately, because of the way this contract was written a long, long time ago, nobody's here from then, maybe Joni, but this contract was not written in a way that was very clear, and therefore, I do think that because it was not specified how much land or the location of land, I think this is probably a good deal because this does serve civic purpose. It doesn't turn over, this was an agreement that gave the taxpayers some land, was secured for the taxpayers of this city, and I'm not willing to turn over taxpayer land for nothing. So the taxpayers are getting something for this at large. The people who live in that neighborhood are not getting something particular, but they are particular to their neighborhood. But as citizens of this city, they are getting something in return, which is some affordable housing units that we'll be able to get for this payment in lieu. So I would vote for this. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor Bagley. So, is there a payment in lieu or some sort of agreement concerning the regular portion of the development, not the 2 lots that were designated as civic usage?
So a little bit of history on that property. When that property originally came in the development process, they made the contribution of land, which currently houses Spring Creek and Fall River, which met the affordable housing requirements for the broader development of Prairie Village. If they had have put those 4 additional units, it actually would have been beyond, I think, the required affordable housing piece. Council actually voted on saying that they had satisfied their affordable housing requirement based on those original land donations in a previous action. This is really above and beyond that.
Okay. And so, in essence, the development has satisfied, according to applicable ordinance now, according to at least council's decision,
Correct.
the inclusionary requirements. And so, therefore, the proposal on the table is that these 2 small outlots, if you will then be a payment in lieu kind of concept.
Correct.
Towards the affordable housing initiative. And as such, because of where we're at in the current economic market for providing housing in our city as well as regionally, any sort of contribution to the affordable housing fund is, to me, a civic contribution and much more usable than, say, 5,000 square feet of what would be considered pocket park at best. As I said jokingly to the mayor, I'm like, at the last conversation about this, it's not much better than most people's backyards as far as single-family detached homes are concerned, as far as the size. And I think the problem really lies with the non-prescriptive nature of the original writing of the civic contribution. It did not prescriptively say a certain amount of square footage or even a usage of that donation. And I think that's where we really get into the weeds here a little bit as far as what the Planning and Zoning Commission had to decide on, as well as what we have to decide on here at City Council. And I think that overall, allowing the contribution to the Affordable Housing Fund is probably the best way forward, considering the utility of what's been proposed.
Dr. Waters?
Thanks, Mayor Bagley. I get the concept. I'm not certain I get the number. So I know whatever you're working on, you've backed into a $3.75 per square foot for the number of feet. I think the combined, what was the combined?
5,600 square foot.
But the 2 parcels. What I am wondering about is that you've been working on something, but we do have a number in our ordinance, an inclusionary, the inclusionary zoning ordinance, for a payment in lieu of $7.62 or 92 cents per square foot as a payment in lieu.
Yeah, we didn't look at that because they had already satisfied that component.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Right.
I'm not questioning
Right.
the over time the serious commitment the developers made to land donations and what we've been able to do with it as we are moving people into the Fall River apartments as I speak, or
Right.
at this time. But it still begs the question: if we're going to do this in the name of a cash donation or contribution to the Affordable Housing Fund, why we would not defer to our ordinance of $7.62, 92 cents. Thank you.
So it's $7.90 per square foot for finished market rate for sale housing, and $1.90 per square foot for finished market rate rental housing.
Yes. Those are the numbers I recall.
Right.
I was not quite recalling. The finished market rate housing at 792 as opposed to 62. I still wonder why. I understand that's more money. That some from a developer, it's also more money in greater civic value.
Right.
Why not that number?
And I think part of it was too is that was sort of when I looked at it based on the 375, that was raw land, and that's how we applied the raw land component to this, and so that was the genesis of the 375.
Thanks.
Councilmember Peck?
Thank you. This is actually, my statement has to do to the developer. When we got this in our ordinance the last time, according to our council we had two sections, one on each side of this development that you were going to donate. I was not happy that the developer came up and at the last minute said, oh no, it's only going to be one part. So everybody was taken aback, really, both staff and council. And this last minute update that we didn't have a chance to look at or even discuss in our ordinances or in our council to me that is unacceptable. If a developer is going to be bringing something to us, they need to do it in time for the council to be able to look at it, to study it, to understand what's going on, as well as staff. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we need to have more respect for staff and not just pop things on them at the last minute, especially at the council meeting. So my one statement.
I think
What's-
part of the other question is I think it was deed restricted rental, not for sale, is what they were looking at.
And
The $1.90.
And I've got a question. What's the city code on PUD now? If we wanted, do we allow PUDs? Didn't we take action? I mean, how does that work now?
Mayor Bagley, Don Burchett, planning manager. We allow planned unit developments today, and someone could apply for a PUD zoning and come in with an application for that.
Specifically, how is this property zoned today?
Today, they are zoned, it would be commercial, I'm gonna get my zoning. One is zoned commercial, one portion of it. The other portion is zoned residential mixed neighborhood,
Right.
which
So-
is the
So
multifamily.
council took action to make this piece of property zoned, right?
Correct.
So the PUD plan, I mean, legally, I don't think they owe us anything. And so them being willing to pay $21,000, well, I mean, we did away with that PUD. It's a new owner. They've got use by right. They've got commercial and residential zoned lots. And so I mean, they're willing to, I mean, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but
That's
I mean.
not the city's position, Mayor.
No, I understand. But what I'm saying is, but we don't have a PUD on this property right now. We do have a PUD on this property? No, I know the city's position is that we do, but my position in looking at it is that at 21,000 to get out of a legal quagmire where their position would be that they don't, 21,000 is a good, I mean, I look at both sides and everybody's got a good argument, and
So-
if they're willing to write a check for 21,000, avoid legal fees, and move forward with the development, and we get our affordable housing, and we don't have to spend any more time on this, I'm all for it.
You were touching on some of the questions as to why we were going to need to delay it to the 31st.
Right. Okay. Well, we don't have to now. I mean, unless we decide to, or
Yep.
yeah. So, all right. Do we have a motion, one way or another?
Mayor?
Yeah.
I make a recommendation
ahead.
that if the council chooses to choose the option that city manager presented, you would want to make a motion to remove that note from the concept plan but condition upon the payment of the 21,000 to the city of Longmont.
Should we do that first? All right. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor Bagley. I would move to remove note 12,
No, 12, that was good.
which is note 12, with the condition that we accepted 21,000. What's the exact number? 21,000 even?
21,000, correct.
21,000 even as a contribution to the Affordable Housing Fund.
And Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt. It is a public hearing item that we would need to open, so just letting you know that
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Okay,
But
thank you,
the,
sorry.
But we can vote on that first before do we have to vote on that? I don't think we do. I mean, we can vote on that, then have the public hearing on, no? Public hearing first? All right, let's go ahead and open the public hearing for ordinance 2020-07A and ordinance 2020-07B. And we'll postpone voting on this particular motion until after we've had a public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor Bagley. Council members, I would still urge you to reconsider what I've heard tonight. You guys made a promise to that neighborhood, to that community, to the city. And I appreciate the fact that the civic purpose would go to affordable housing or to the Affordable Housing Fund. But Councilmember Waters is correct. You know, why the $3 and whatever cents per square foot? Do it like you normally do it. If you feel like that's the right way to go, it sounds like to me with this whole process that the postponing and at least till March 31st or whatever that date was, to figure that out, to make this consistent with whatever other donation in lieu that you guys normally do on these type of developments. I mean, it should be consistent. All right. I mean, I think that it's wrong. I think that people made decisions in that neighborhood based on that concept plan, based on what the city said it was going to be, and now it's something completely different. I understand there's new zoning and there's all sorts of stuff that's happened in the past years. I get that, but I'm just asking you to do what's right. Do what's right for the community surrounding that project, and do what's right for the city of Longmont. Taking $21,000 just, to me, isn't enough. I mean, it's not consistent with any other donation in lieu or land or whatever that's called, right? It's not consistent with what you've done before. And this developer, D.R. Horton, or its subsidiary, DHI, I mean, they have the money. I mean, why are they nickel and diming the city? They're just trying to get around this because they already have 100% engineering, design drawings ready to go. And I mean, that to me, it's insulting. It should be insulting to you, and it's insulting to the city. So there's another way to go about this. I understand that that you guys want to make a decision, but go back and ask for something else. I mean, when you brought up Ms. Peck, when you brought up the fact that they had two lots, and then they came up right at the end and said, "Oh no, we only meant one." I mean, is the 21,000 only for one, or is it both? Or, you know, like, I mean, it blows my mind how non-transparent this entire process is. I mean, I honestly believe that the planning department, and this is my personal opinion, I'll state that for the record, but I think the planning department promised them that they could get this concept plan note taken off, and that's why they went ahead with the 100% engineering, design, and everything. I mean, the transparency here is terrible. The ethics violations from the planning department trying to get this railroaded through to your chambers to get this voted on. It's really sad. I love the city. I don't love how this process has gone. It's not right. I'd urge you to tell them to go back, rethink it, make it, if they're going to do a donation in lieu, make it consistent with what they're doing or what you're doing in other projects, and call it good. All right? Don't just take this to make it easy.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone else? All right, seeing no one, we'll go ahead, no one else, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Eugene May?
Mayor and Council, Eugene May, City Attorney, just a couple procedural things. So this is first reading. We continued it at the last meeting on January 14th. Hearing Councilmember Rodriguez's motion, so there is an ordinance in the packet. There's two ordinances. A has just a single condition. If you wanted to add the 21,000 to A, it effectuates the removal of Note 12, requires submittal requirements be met within a year. If you were to add the 21,000, then we'd have an ordinance to come back on second reading, and we would modify that ordinance depending upon your motion.
So we're only voting on one or the other?
One or the other.
Right.
The
So-
B had multiple conditions. That was the landscape easement and a developer maintained park.
Mayor Pro Tem, do you want to redo your ordinance with the motion to pass ordinance 2020-07A with your changes?
Yes, I move ordinance 2020-07A with the condition that the $21,000 contribution to the Affordable Housing Fund be included as a condition to 2020-07A.
I'll second that. All right, any additional comments or questions from council members? All right, seeing no further debate, let's go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right, the motion passes 6-1, or I'm sorry, 5-1 with Councilmember Martin absent, which I should have announced it, but you got that right, Don?
I got it.
All right, and then with Dr. Waters dissenting. All right, let's move on to 2020, or item 11C, legislative bills recommended for city council positions.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Sandy Cedar, Assistant City Manager, and I have 4 bills for your consideration today. I just handed them out to you, but they have also been posted in the designated spot and on the web. So the first bill is House Bill 20-1192 concerning the use of money in the Petroleum Cleanup and Redevelopment Fund for development of fuel cell electric vehicle projects. Obviously this bill basically would say that we could pull any kinds of money that comes out of the public safety funds for oil and gas cleanups to be able to be used for this kind of innovative work on electric vehicle projects. Since this really supports the council's sustainability goals, staff recommends that the City Council support House Bill 20-1192. Senate Bill 2124 concerning adding the public school facility construction guidelines as a requirement to consult with the local electric utility. Our electric utility, LPC, thinks this is a good idea to get in at the beginning of these kinds of construction projects, and so therefore city staff recommends that City Council support Senate Bill 124. Senate Bill 151 concerning the regulation of the Regional Transportation District. This one's pretty tough because it really requires a whole lot of new things of RTD, which of course we think that needs to happen, some additional auditing and some other things, just as far as transparency of the operations of RTD. But at the same time, the way that the bill is written is pretty bureaucratic and has a whole lot of reporting requirements that might actually not get you there. So several of the transportation organizations are planning to oppose unless it's amended. I think the concept makes sense, but we are unsure that the method makes sense. So we would like to just monitor this for a little while.
Keep going. I was just going to mention something on that one.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And then the last one, Senate Bill 2153, concerning a creation of an enterprise that is exempt from the requirements of Section 20 of Article 10 of the state constitution to administer a fee-based water resource financing program. This one would basically pull different fees and general funds to create a revolving loan fund, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when we are the ones that are planning for our own future and our own water utilities. We would encourage everybody else to do the same. And so staff recommends that City Council opposes Senate Bill 2153.
So this came up at the Mayors and Commissioners Committee, the Senate Bill 20-151. All it's doing is adding 4 new positions to the RTD board. It's going from 15 to 19, which, the what?
I oppose that.
Right? Yeah, and so do I. And so, I mean, I know that there was some talk at the Metro Mayors, or the Mayors and Commissioners Committee, or the MCC, because I know that there were allies who were championing the bill, and we didn't want to hurt their feelings, and people were kind of hesitant, and But at the end of the day, I personally think that what needs to happen, and again, I think they need to redistrict, like just like we do at a state and national level. The RTD board keep 15, but adding more or subtracting more, unless they redistrict to make it proportionate, there's no solution. So going from 15, disproportionate seats to 19 is just going from bad to worse. And so I actually move that we oppose Senate Bill 20-151. Councilmember Peck?
I agree with the mayor.
So that's a second. That's called a second.
I'll call that a second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded by myself and Councilmember Peck.
So NADA, the Northern Area Transportation Authority, also opposes this because of the addition of new board members. But the point here in this statement that reporting audits, I also want to say that NADA is getting a very deep audit of RTD. Some of these things we're already going to do. We don't need a bill. So that's my input.
All
Mayor
right.
Bagley, members of council, certainly from RTD, that's what we've heard, is that all of the stipulations of the bill are already things that are required of them. And so the only real change is the board member change.
Right.
So-
So, I mean, I don't know why anyway, I know why we're hesitant, but I still think we should express concern. So
Absolutely,
there's a
council's
motion
prerogative.
and a second. So the motion is to go ahead and direct staff to oppose Senate Bill 20-151. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, cool. So that motion passes unanimously with Councilmember Martin absent. We still have 3 others, however. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Peck?
I move the slate of bills minus SB 2151, period,
Follow
All
the
right.
staff
As
recommendation.
recommended by staff.
as recommended by staff.
I'll second that for you. All right, it's been moved by Councilmember Peck, seconded by the mayor. Any further question, dialogue, or debate? Councilmember Christensen?
No, I'm just trying to fix my mic.
All right, Dr. Waters?
Just to clarify, we're talking about supporting the 2 bills that the staff recommends we support and opposing the third. Right. Thank
Correct.
you.
Yes.
All right, seeing no further discussion or debate, let's go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes unanimously with Councilmember Martin absent. I do have one other question. Did we take a position on Senate Bill 93?
Hang on 1 second.
That's Mike Foot's arbitration bill.
Arbitration.
I just want backup from council before I do something.
Council has not taken a position on 93.
Right, so I guess I don't know why, so the Metro Mayor's Caucus, which I usually don't go to, because we can talk about that in private if you'd like, but anyway, the Boulder County mayors have asked that so the way the Metro Mayor's Caucus works is by consensus, and if 5 or less, if less than 5 mayors don't oppose it, then there's a press release that basically says the Metro Mayor's Caucus is against it, or for it or against it. So in this particular case, for some reason, the Metro Mayor's Caucus is coming out asking for a consensus vote opposing Senate Bill 93, which basically just sets some arbitration requirements, which I really don't understand why this rises to the importance of I don't get it, but I do know it's really important to the other mayors in Boulder County, and have asked that I join them in opposing their opposition, and I was going to do that.
What is the arbitration for?
So, it has to do with again, sex assault victims.
I think so. Let
Okay,
me
do you want to? Can you pull it and just let us know?
And Mayor Bagley, I attended the Colorado Municipal League Muni Caucus today. There was no discussion about this bill.
Right. It just like I said, it's strange why this would be a issue of debate because.
This is the Consumer and Employee Dispute Resolution Fairness Act concerning protections related to mandatory agreement provisions in and connected with enacting a Consumer and Employee Dispute Resolution Fairness Act.
Close, but keep going. Yeah. Not you, me.
Yeah, pretty good. The bill enacts the Consumer and Employee Dispute Resolution Fairness Act for certain consumer and employment arbitrations. The act prohibits the waiver of standards for and challenges the evident partiality prior to a claim being filed. It is mediation, is what it looks like. It's required
basi-
mediation.
That's right. So basically, it's basically saying you can challenge an arbiter based on bias and whatnot. Again, it's a big
Provides
nothing
the-
burger,
Yes.
but it's important to somebody, and it's really important to the other mayors in Boulder County. And they're asking, and it's important to Mike Foote, and they're asking that I join them just to make it so that the Metro Mayor's Caucus does not have a consensus to oppose this bill. Is anyone opposed? Dr. Waters?
Is Mike Foote sponsoring this bill?
Yes, it's
Yes.
his bill.
So he's asking the mayors to oppose the bill?
No, Metro Mayor's Caucus came out to oppose it. And the Boulder County mayors reached out and said, hey, Mayor Bagley, we need a fifth. Vote with us so the Metro mayors don't have a consensus, so there's no position.
Right.
It just goes away.
So,
So the council could support the bill, for
This is-
example, or not oppose.
Or not
it.
even do anything and just tell me it's okay to add my name to the list, which I could do, but
You could do.
we haven't taken a position on it, and I don't know a whole lot about it.
And Mayor Bagley, in reading this, and you all may remember that at the legislative dinner, Senator Foote did discuss this bill with you just briefly around the idea that it provides the right of the party to challenge the arbitrator, right? Because oftentimes arbitration is binding and that's that. And this gives another opportunity, I think, for people to work out dispute resolution was his intention.
so if we support what our mayor is asking, it would simply allow the bill to go forward and be heard without the Metro mayors expressing their opposition.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
So the mayors simply don't want the Metro Mayor's Caucus to oppose the bill.
So the city of Longmont does not have to support the bill.
No, we're not. This is not. This is just.
doesn't
Anyone
oppose
have
the
a
bill.
problem
You're just checking
if
it.
I oppose it?
No.
Okay. Anyone? All right.
I just had a question on what the status is. So is it in committee? Is it on the Senate floor?
I
That
literally
is-
have
is-
no
it is-
idea.
It is in Judiciary Committee.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and seeing no opposition, I'm going to go ahead and send that email just saying that I oppose the opposition. So, all right, cool. Thanks. I'm going to oppose the opposition. Yes. And we'll just
Support
let
the bill.
We'll not even support the bill, just
Opposing the opposition.
oppose the opposition. So Metro Mayor's Caucus doesn't have a consensus. All right. So let's move on. Anything else on that or other issues? All right. Let's move on to final call. Public invited to be heard. I just want to point out, Scouts, that you are seeing one of the shortest city council meetings ever. And so someday you're going to be, and so someday you're going to be sitting on city council, running for mayor, whatever, and you're going to be like, wait a second, I thought it was supposed to be way shorter than this. But that's not going to happen. So I'm just warning you now. So let's go ahead and do final call, public invited to be heard. Anyone want to speak? All right, we're going to go ahead and close final call, public invited to be heard. Let's go on to mayor and council comments. Councilmember Peck.
Thank you, Mayor Bagley. I want to respond actually to Regina Cheney and Justin Stober. At the last council meeting, I made a motion that we move forward with getting a facilitator to facilitate an ethics and rules of procedure meeting among council. So that is already in the works. We get it that we need help and an ethics committee. So the other thing that I want to explain is about emails. First of all, I have no doubt over 4.5 years that there are 3,000 emails. But the core request is for everything that is on the city server. If it's on the city server, it means that it has my City of Longmont address. Now, I may have gotten and have gotten many emails from people to my private email address, but I forwarded those to the city server. That's why you see my private email address along with whoever wrote me. And we're all like that. I mean, I've seen Cora requests from the mayor, from Councilman Waters, and they send it to the city server as well with their city email address. Those did not come from the Indra server or Google server, because I don't have any of those, which is what I told. And I sat down with the city attorney, and we looked at the ones that he had questions about, and I said, release them all. The Longmont Observer has released a lot of my emails, so if anybody's interested to see, it's kind of boring, who emailed me and what I said. Councilwoman Martin has put them on all social media. So anybody who wants to go read my emails, they're fine. You can go read them. I'm not going to apologize because they're not on my personal email. They are on the city server, which is what the Cora request was for. They were business that I forwarded to my city servers so they would be transparent. There were no emails that anybody got off of the Indra server or the Google server. They all came from Joan Peck at longmontcolorado.gov. So there you have it. Transparent. They're all on the city server. You can go read them. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor Bagley. This is just a note for my fellow council members as well as the staff that there was a death in the family and I'll be out of town Friday through Sunday. So
I'm
thank you.
Sorry to hear that. Dr. Waters?
I, just for the sake of my own clarity and how I approach this issue of emails, there have been several Cora requests that people interested in my emails, text messages, calendar. So it's been my understanding that if there is an email on my private email account that has to do with city business, that's part of the public record. So I'm just asking our city attorney, is that not, am I correct or incorrect?
You are correct.
So if whether I have or have not forwarded, and I do the same thing when I have my wits about me, copying my email, my city email account. But if there's been correspondence that I didn't think was city business, so I didn't, any of those that have anything to do with the city of Longmont would be part of that public record, no matter what server they're on, correct?
Correct. Location doesn't matter. It's about the subject matter.
Okay, I just wanted to, just to be clear. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? All right. City manager remarks.
No comments, Mayor, Council.
Eugene?
No comments, Mayor.
All right. Let's go ahead and adjourn. Actually, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. Anybody opposed to adjourning?
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded, and we're adjourning.